Welcome back to this week's Quick Hit, a series of unsolicited talks sponsored by shame. Lots and lots of regret, but even more shame. Because last year was the year. The year before last was also the year. 2023. That was definitely the year that you were going to buy an airplane. Now, shame is not mine to bestow upon you. I have nothing to give to you to make you feel more shame because you're already there. You decided you were going to buy an airplane and you've been dragging your feet. I am here to lift the weight of shame off your shoulders, to make you feel good about yourself again, to give you that pep back in your step on your path to airplane ownership. Let's talk about it. Now, first of all, let's run through a couple things as we do here on these quick hits. Is my microphone a screwdriver? Kinda. This tool is actually the tool that you use to open the cowlings and the gill panel like you see open here on this Beechcraft Bonanza. And thank you to my friend Adam, who is also a Bonanza driver who's parked in a hangar across the way, for suggesting that I get this tool. I'll put it in the description. It's the easiest way to open these fasteners that are just really wide and a little bit curved. So look out for that. Now, the other thing is, I am losing my voice. I have been sick on and off for the past month and a half with flu and a cold, and my allergies are bad. But for the first time, I'm really losing my voice. So if you're listening to this on a microphone or a headset, I apologize if it sounds a little bit weird. I'm trying my best to speak clearly and speak up. One of the other things you're going to ask is, why is your microphone plugged in? Well, no one's going to ask that, but I'll tell you, I did not come prepared. So my microphone was dead when I got here, and I have to charge it using a power bank. And the only reason this is an important part of this story is because you have to come prepared. Now, since we're removing that shame from your mind and from your soul, that heavy weight that sits on your shoulders that you haven't yet bought an airplane, let's come prepared. And preparedness point number one is by knowing your mission. We've already talked about this in a previous video. What do you want to do with this airplane? Some people, your legitimate answer should be, I just want to go get the $250 cheeseburger. That's fine. You're a weekend flyer. You can go and do that. It's going to be great. Your kids don't want to come with you, so you're going to be flying solo anyway. Go out and buy yourself a Cub. Or buy yourself a Spirit SE1. Those things are selling really fast right now. And it's your gateway to aviation. You go out, you have a great time. You go have your cheeseburger or your Euro wrap or the best mac and cheese in Georgia. And you just enjoy that. That's fine. You might be able to handle that financial responsibility on your own. Now, if your mission is going to see grandma every weekend because grandma's got little time left, and you really have to capitalize on that, then you might need an airplane that's capable of going across country reliably and quickly, so when you need to go, you go. Now, those two examples are examples of you doing something on your own. You are financially literate and responsible enough to own a machine like this on your own, and it is possible. This airplane I bought for less than the cost of a 2026 model fully loaded Toyota Camry. It is not that expensive. I don't have a car payment, so I have this. And I save up for the times when it will break so we can do the repairs correctly. Now, I can do that, and some of you can do that, but there are others that can't. And for you, you have some solutions. Solution number one, start a partnership. And I'm not saying join a partnership, because you will wait forever for the perfect partnership to pop up. The PPP, perfect partnership pop-up. You're going to wait for that forever. You have to start the partnership that you want. You have to be the partner that you would like to see. You go out, you identify your mission, you see what you can be insured in, you see where you can park the thing, you do all of the homework that we've talked about in previous videos, and then you buy an airplane. And then you form a partnership for that airplane. You invite a couple people, 1, 2, 3 people, and you say, hey, I have a thing. You also want a thing. Here are the operating rules for my thing. AOPA has already given me these rules. Jawanza also has rules from the time that he started his own partnership that eventually became a flying club. And we can guide you down the process of starting this thing for yourself, this partnership for yourself. The reason it's important that you go out and do it is you're just going to wait forever for it to happen, when really and truly, if you build it, they will come. Perfect example. I was looking for people in 2020, 2017 and 2018 to start a partnership or a flying club. I had meetings, I had Zoom calls, I had flyers, I did all kinds of stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And it took months and months and no one was ready to help. So I just took it upon myself and I bought a Cherokee 180 and then invited people to come on board. And immediately, I'm talking the very next week, I had Jack, my very first club member, said, "Hey, I like what you're doing. I'm joining your club or your partnership." Be the change. Start the partnership. You are going to put yourself in a financial position where you're splitting the bills 3 ways, maybe 4 ways, maybe 2 ways if it makes sense to you. And that becomes a lot more manageable. I flew this airplane 100 hours last year. That is not even a dent in the bucket of time that I had to fly this airplane. You're going to fly a lot less than you think. And other people can benefit from the time that the airplane has available, and you can benefit from having some friends who can split the cost. So partnerships are the way to go. You form an LLC or a 501c7 social club like I did, and you go from there. It's really not that difficult. LegalZoom.com, I think, still helps people do these kind of things. But buy the airplane, start the club. You're going to thank yourself in a year when you said, yes, I finally did buy an airplane, and the $700 hangar became $350 because I split it both ways with a partner that I really like flying with. You're not going to fly with your daughter. She has things she wants to do. She's leaving for college. She has friends she wants to see. She has that boyfriend that you really dislike. And that is okay. You're going to fly with your partners in this airplane. You're going to have a great time. The airplane will be available anytime you want it because no one flies as much as they think they would. And when you finally decide to go to Oshkosh, you're going to have a person that's ready to hop into the airplane comfortably, know the systems, and fly and camp along with you. Now, in the realm of owning airplanes and affording to own airplanes, which is the more important part, you have some other options. You can go out and buy an airplane and lease it back to a flight school. Now that move is not for me. I love my airplanes. I put a lot of sweat equity into my airplanes. I know every inch of this airplane, all the pulleys, all the cables. I did the interior. I've helped with the avionics. I've helped with the engine installs. I love this airplane. And the thought of putting this airplane into a situation where it will have 10 flights a day, 3 bad landings per day, go through a whole bunch of breaks, put a ton more stress on the bearings and the landing gear system, that thought just ruins the experience for me. And that's the only reason I would never do it. Now, there are reliable and reasonable flight schools and clubs that will lease your airplane and do a really good job keeping up with the maintenance and ensuring that it is safe and it is flown respectfully and responsibly. But that's not every situation and that's not every person. Sometimes you don't know who's getting into your airplane, and that person might just do the thing that you would never do in this airplane. The other thing is availability. Gave you the example earlier about going to see grandma. There will be a situation where you have the perfect tool, this airplane, to go see family, execute a mission, go get extra business, go pick up your daughter from college, do all of these great things. But there is also someone else on the list to go have a check ride, a private pilot check ride. And you're torn because you really want this person to ace their check ride in your airplane, but you also want to go do your mission. And most schools will balance that out. And I know schools here in Savannah that do a great job of balancing out the demands of the airplane owner and the students that rent the airplane. But that's not always going to be the case. And there might be a time for disappointment. You might feel a little guilty flying away with the airplane for an entire weekend because you know there are people at home waiting on you to bring it back. When weather starts rolling in, you might cut your trip short so you can make it back a day early instead of 3 days later to let the weather roll through. It changes the way you think about the airplane and the airplane ownership. And there's going to be an experience that you're not involved in that might change your thought process behind whether the leasing thing makes any sense. If you have ever leased an airplane back to a flight school, I want you to put your experience down in the comments and let me know whether it was positive, negative, or maybe neutral. Most people I know have had a neutral experience. It was pleasurable for the most part, but they lost no money and they made no money and they had less access to the airplane. And when they were ready to take the airplane back, it had 1,000 extra hours on it, because these things will fly 300, 400, 500 hours a year. If you've got a Cherokee or an Arrow or a 172, the stuff that most people are looking for. Now, if you want to go off the beaten path and buy an experimental airplane or something that will be certified under the new LSA rules, Mosaic, you likely won't be putting that airplane in a flight school. It's just going to be too nice or too expensive or too unique to put into a flight school. Maybe insurance might become an issue. Maybe you fly a twin Comanche and you can't afford, someone can't afford to insure it in a flight school. That's a totally different situation. In that case, the partnership makes a lot more sense. Go and find a person that matches your flying abilities or flying dreams and desires and become best friends with that person and start the best partnership the world has ever seen. It is totally possible. It is really easy. And you're going to have someone there to celebrate with you, to cry when it's time to overhaul the engine, to laugh when you go to Oshkosh and you realize it was a better decision just flying into Fond du Lac and driving. But all those things are going to play out. And you have options. But in Jawanza's world, I'm willing to put real emphasis into this for the sake of the channel. My personal preference is partnerships, which I don't necessarily follow that rule, but that's okay. This is about you, not about me. Partnerships, private owners or individual owners, and then leasebacks. And there's where I stand. Now, really quickly, there are going to be some of you who can't be a private owner, who can't start the flying club, who can't lease back an airplane. Go join a flight club that already exists somewhere near you, something that's been established for a while, has good rates and good reviews. Go join a flying club. If that's still outside of the realm of the possible, then go volunteer for the Civil Air Patrol or some mission like that. If that doesn't work for you, go buy a drone. Just buy a drone. Go do Part 107. Fly around. Become a part of the network. If that doesn't work for you, start flying flight simulators. I got a really good topic coming up for you guys with a person that I've met recently. His handle online is Cardboard Sim, like cardboard, just like regular cardboard sim. His name's Robert. We're going to be interviewing Robert to talk about flight simulation because I want each and every single one of you involved in the aviation experience and the aviation process. And it's not just owning airplanes individually or clubs or whatever. Everyone deserves to play a role in what we're trying to do and accomplish here. So go out and make it happen. Lift the shame. Let's raise it off of your back. Let's ensure that you can sleep soundly at night. You are not a failure. You have done well by me by considering these things in this video. Bring your plants inside. It's really cold. And we'll catch you later. Okay, this part of the video is specifically for my friend Justin. I used to work with Justin for a really long time right here in Savannah until he decided to move to the West Coast, which I'm told is the best coast. Not entirely sure. I miss working with this guy, and I'm so proud of you because you left here in Savannah a few years ago with zero piloting experience, and now you're considering buying your own airplane or starting a partnership or joining a club or leasing an airplane back, and you were the reason why I did this video. Now, it just makes me really happy that you're stopping to ask these questions because I know you are doing your research. You're not going to let yourself down. You're not going to let your future partners down. You're not going to let your family down. You're doing the right thing. And now, when it comes down to it, I think I've told you already, I think you are the kind of owner or pilot who would thrive in a partnership versus leasing an airplane back to a flying school. I really do think you want to be able to take those trips, fly with the family, have something that you're proud of. You love building community around you. You're a people leader. You're a thought leader. I really see you as the kind of person who will go buy an airplane, start an LLC, build a partnership around whatever airplane you buy, and just build community that way. Now, if you decide to do any of the other things, you'll also be supported because they're fine choices. You really can't go wrong. You're a smart guy, but you have to make it happen. Here's my challenge to you and my challenge to everybody else that's listening. Time is ticking. Make a decision, stick with it, and see where it goes. I'll be here to help. Maybe not financially, but with words of encouragement like these. All right, now we'll catch you later.